Welcome to Dr. J's Latch and Talk. As a quick reintroduction to those who might be listening for the first time, I'm both a licensed clinical psychologist and an international board certified lactation consultant. The known acronym is IBCLC. Latch and Talk is for everyone to learn more about lactation and breastfeeding, as well as help to cultivate conversations about the topic. Today's segment falls under Latch and Talk, the signature platform that will involve many different topics and candid discussions about latch, lactation, and breastfeeding. Today's topic is the first 48 hours. Yes, the first 2 days. Depending on the type of delivery and any unforeseen circumstances, the first 48 hours could look different for everyone. You could be at the hospital, on your way home, already at home, and so forth. Okay, so your baby is here and you're excited to breastfeed. You may have taken all the classes, read the books, feel prepared and ready to begin. Or you might have decided after delivery, I would like to breastfeed. Either is possible or anything in between. When you think about those first hours after birth, many things are going on physically, mentally, and environmentally. Physically, your body is recovering after delivery. This may be the most obvious as you carry the life within you, let's say for the full 40 weeks. Mentally, your thoughts can be anywhere. Joy about the delivery, sadness because this part of the journey is ending, anxiety because a new part of your journey will now begin, uncertainty or anticipation because you just do not know what is ahead. Environmentally, things are changing within the home environment as you welcome your new baby and establish new routines, schedules, and the environment just feels different. And don't forget, you're moving from a hospital or a birthing center if you did not have a home delivery, so that's even a change in landscape. And different is not a negative thing, just a noted deviation from what was before. I state that because the idea of different or change is sometimes associated with a negative connotation. It's important to recognize that all of these experiences are normative, and the first 48 hours may very well be different from, let's say, the next 48 days. It does not sound like a lot of time, or maybe it does, but having a new life in the world changes the perspective of time. Everything is not just due to the change in time, but all the things that happen internally and externally as you progress through the minutes, hours, and days. But it's helpful to focus on the moments as there are adjustments that are being made all around, and the smaller focus moments can help bring about calm or alleviate any feelings of overwhelm. Now let's talk milk. The first milk is called colostrum. This milk is yellow, but it can also be clear, orange, pink, or brown. This is all normal and okay. By the third or fourth day of delivery, most mothers experience more copious milk production, which is known as lactogenesis 2. So the milk changes from colostrum to more mature milk. And signs of physiological transition to lactogenesis 2 would be breast fullness or tenderness, visible leaking of milk, and more frequent infant swallowing. Now, there are also some risk factors for delayed lactogenesis, which includes maternal obesity, polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, as we know the acronym, maternal diabetes, hypertensive disorders in pregnancy, preterm labor, C-sections. So there's nothing to be extremely alarmed about, but it's info to note if your milk seems delayed. Now I'll briefly discuss breastfeeding rhythm and tracking. So it's important to establish a breastfeeding rhythm early. Do not be consumed or use time per se to feed your baby. For example, do not think you need to feed your baby every 4 hours or some predetermined time frame. So loosely, it is best to feed your baby or empty your breast every 2 to 4 hours. But the more important piece to communicate is to feed upon demand. This means feed whenever your baby shows signs of hunger. And yes, this might mean like 1 hour after feeding. You might say, oh no, you can't be hungry again. Follow your baby's lead. I also stated empty your breast, as there are some mothers that decide early in the journey or for medical reasons or because the baby is in the NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit, that pumping or manual expression of milk works best. So things to note: the number of feedings per day can be tracked, and this helps develop and maintain your milk supply. So you can track your feedings on a log if you prefer paper and pencil. You can write the start and end time of your feeding and the date. There are also breastfeeding apps out there that you can document which breast you used and for what period of time. Personally, I found the breastfeeding app so very helpful, as it was as simple as clicking on start when I began and stop when I ended, as I often sat in a rocking chair to breastfeed both of my sons. So if you do not breastfeed from both breasts at a feeding, be sure to start the next feeding with the opposite breast. It's always best to offer both breasts to your baby. So if you feed on your right breast for 5 minutes, for example, offer the left breast to your baby. Same tracking for pumping: the date, time, in terms of how long the pumping session was, and the amount of ounces obtained from each breast. So another note about tracking: document the number of diaper changes per day. You can also do this paper and pencil log that you may have, or many of the apps also have where you can track the number of diaper changes per day. And so this is all helpful to ensure you're aware of your feedings and the frequency and type of diaper changes. Like, you have a wet diaper or how many bowel movements made each day. And at a doctor's visit, this is good info to let your pediatrician know at the first visit, which is usually a day or two after delivery. Let's talk emotions. What have you noticed about yourself emotionally? It is indeed an adjustment with a new baby, even if it is not your first child. Each child is different and every experience is different. It is important that you check in with yourself or pay attention to anything you notice about your feelings and emotions. Mental awareness is just as important as physical awareness, and oftentimes one can impact the other. Just as you log your feedings and diaper changes, it could be a good practice to log or document your feelings on a daily basis or some regular basis in a journal, for example. So you might be thinking, what should I write? If you're feeling stuck or never used a journal to record your feelings, well, I'd say you can start out with writing the date, including the time, and say the first word that comes to mind. Or you can take a pause and take a quick look at where you are at the moment and just jot that down. Nothing has to be specific. The only specific recommendation would be to pay attention to yourself in efforts to bring more kindness and grace if needed. Or as a simple practice of gratitude for whatever state you might be in at that moment. Think about environmental changes. So you arrive from home, from the hospital, and now what? There's a new life, new energy, a newness. Oftentimes, you may have most of the things you need, or you may think, it would be good if I had that nursing pillow I had on my registry, or set up my area for breastfeeding, or if I could take a quick nap in my own bed. Nothing is perfect, and pay attention to any pressure to make it perfect. Be mindful that it may take time to acclimate or reacclimate to your environment. So here are some helpful questions. So, things to just ask yourself: do I have the contact information for the IBCLC or the nurse at the delivery hospital who was helpful? Keep this info nearby and accessible. If you do not have the contact information for an IBCLC, you can easily do a search to find one in your area. Another question would be, who are the supportive people you can lean on or talk to? Have you reached out to them? Who is part of your environment, and how do they impact the ability to settle in and reacclimate? Another, in the flurry of everything, have you taken a moment for yourself? Probably like, gosh, how can I do that? Again, moments don't have to equate to an entire day at the spa or a day out for yourself. Every minute adds up to more and more moments, and you do more of that, you'll find differences in yourself. And that's why I indicate sometime tracking or just documenting how you feel is important, especially in these first days and hours. So the first 48 hours are the beginning of your journey. There's continual learning that occurs about you as a mother, you as a breastfeeding mother, how your baby is developing and responding to you, how the family landscape is impacted, and so much more. Thank you so much for listening. Please share, subscribe, and join in the next featured segment.